Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Chris here, founder of Rooted Music. Guys, I'm thrilled that you're taking this next step with us and just getting a glimpse of what one of our courses is like. We have helped thousands of people just like yourself learn to play the worship music that they love, and we want to help you do the same thing. We're here for feedback, for encouragement, for insight, for tips and tricks. We want to help you every single step of the way. You're going to see that in this video, so check it out.
Hey everyone, this is JT with Rooted Music, here with you guys today for an advanced piano tutorial of the song Spirit Move by Bethel, and it is from their album Have It All. And by the end of this video today, you are going to know everything you need to know to play Spirit Move, either in the block chord style from the chord chart or the note for note keys part from the sheet music. And one thing that's really interesting about this song today, considering that this is a piano tutorial, is that this song actually does not have a clearly defined steady piano part throughout this song. If you're listening to the recording of this song or you're listening to the individual parts of this song, you're not going to find a really strong defined piano part. So today in this video, we're going to be playing the keys part and putting it on the piano. Now, when I say the keys part, I'm referring to some of the pads that you hear in the beginning of the song. Pad meaning just kind of a soft ambient synth sound. And then we'll also cover some of the lead synth lines that you hear in the chorus and other parts of the song. So we're going to combine those keys parts, put it together, and play it on piano. And I'm going to show you how to play it on the piano. It plays the exact same way you'd play it, whether you're playing on a piano or if you're playing on a synthesizer, or you've got a MIDI keyboard hooked up to a computer and you can switch between the patch sounds for a piano and a pad or a synth or something along those lines. So at the end of this video, there's going to be two playthroughs. The first one will be me playing this part on the piano with the piano sounds, so you can hear how that sounds. And then the second one will be me playing along with the recording, and you will hear me playing a synth part and kind of how that sounds as well. So this video is going to be pretty cool. We're diving into some lead synth parts today, which are always fun to play, and this is a really fun song to play. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start. And before we go right into the music and the details of the song, let's go ahead and look at a few key pieces of information that are really going to help make this song a lot easier to learn. And the first one here is the key. And so for Spirit Move, we are in the key of B flat major. And the key of B flat has two flats in the key signature, and those are B flat and E flat. And here we have listed the notes of the scale of the key of B flat. So let's go ahead and play through this. So we have B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and then we finish with B flat. Good. Now, if you look in the lower right-hand corner of the web page where you're watching this video, you're going to see that we have attached the chord chart in the letter names and the Nashville number chart where you can read these chord changes in Nashville numbers. And so it's really up to you which one you'd rather read. Some musicians prefer the letter names, some prefer Nashville numbers, and we've provided both for you today. I will be reading off of the Nashville number chart, but I will be referencing both the letter names and Nashville number names in this video. Great, so let's go ahead and build that scale in Nashville numbers. And for Nashville numbers, all we do is we play the same notes, but we replace the letter names with numbers. So B flat is 1, C is 2, D is 3, E flat is 4, F is 5, G is 6, A is 7, and B flat is back to 1. Let's go through that scale one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And there we go. That was the scale in Nashville numbers. And it's really important for us to know the scale of the key that we are playing in for any song, because the majority, if not all of the notes that we're going to play in this song come from the scale. So for Spirit Move, we are only playing the notes in the scale of B flat. There are some songs out there that borrow or steal a few notes from other keys and different types of harmony, especially like older songs like hymns. Sometimes we'll use secondary dominants and things like that. But in this song today for Spirit Move, we're only playing the notes of the B flat scale, and this is really important because all of the chords we're going to play are built with these notes. So the more familiar you are with the scale, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to build the chords and play along with this song. Great. So now we know our scale in letters and Nashville numbers. Let's go ahead and look through this song, look through the chord chart really quick, and see how many unique chords you and I need to know to play Spirit Move. So in verse 1, we have a 1 chord, which is B flat. We have a 6 chord, which is G minor. We have a 4 chord here, which is E flat. Let's keep going. We have here in the turnaround, it's the same, nothing's new. We have a repeat of verse 1, it's the same. In the pre-chorus, we have our 5 chord, which is F. And the chorus, we have a 2 chord here, which is C minor. And for the sake of time, I'm going to stop scrolling through the song because that's it. We've already seen all of the chords we need to know to play Spirit Move. This song's pretty simple in that we only have 5 total chords that we need to know in order to play this song. So let's go ahead and build these chords and get familiar with them before we try to play the song, because if we know these chords ahead of time and know how to play them and know how to approach playing these chords in the block chord style, then we're not going to be caught off guard when we see something like a 2 chord in the chorus or a 5 chord in the pre-chorus that's going to throw us off. So let's build these chords in ascending scale order. And for the block chord style that I'm going to be referencing throughout this video, we're going to be playing triads in our right hand. And a triad simply is a chord of 3 notes. So we'll start with our B flat or our 1 chord. So we have a triad here, and every triad has 3 notes. And let's go through these really quick. We have the root, which is the note that this chord is built on. I sometimes call it the namesake as well. The root or the namesake is the foundation of every chord. So for our B flat or our 1 chord, the root of that chord is going to be B flat because this is the note that we're building the rest of our chord on. Then the middle note in our triad is called the third. So for the 1 chord, our third is going to be D, and the reason we call this a third is because D to B flat is an interval of a third, and we know it's a third because we have 3 letters in this interval in total. So B flat, C, D. Right here we have 3 letters. Sharps and flats don't necessarily come into play when we're determining the type of interval. We just have to count the number of letters. Sharps and flats do come into play when we're trying to figure out the specifics of which type of interval we have, whether it's a major third or a minor third. But for right now, just because we can't get into too much detail in this video or we'd be here all day, we're just going to say that this interval right here, B flat to D, is a third, and that's really all we need to know for right now. So again, we got 3 letters between B flat and D, so root and third, and then the top note that we have in our triad is our 5th. And so in this case, for B flat or our 1 chord, F is going to be the 5th, and we know that F is the 5th because B flat to F is a 5th, because if we counted our letters, we have 5 letters in this interval: B flat, C, D, E flat, F. Right there, 5 letters. Again, the sharps and flats don't necessarily apply to when we're trying to figure out what type of interval we have. So again, root, third, and 5th. And every triad that we're going to play, whether it's a major chord or a minor chord, will have a root, third, 5th. Now also in the block chord style, I typically play an octave of the root note in my left hand because I feel like this just provides a great depth and the nice bass sound to the piano, especially if you're playing on your own. Playing in this kind of middle C region here with your right hand and then playing these root notes down here really just rounds out that sound. So I'm going to be playing in the block chord style that way. If you want to play higher up on the keyboard, you can. That's not an issue at all, but I personally prefer to play in that middle C region and below, especially if I'm playing by myself. So let's go ahead and build all of the chords in ascending scale order now that we know the main components of our chords. So we've already kind of done it, but we'll go through it again. We're going to start with our B flat or our 1 chord. So for B flat or our 1 chord, we have B flat's the root, D is the third, F is the 5th, and there we go. That's B flat or our 1 chord. Next we have C minor or our 2 chord. So C is the root, E flat is the third, and G is the 5th. And there we go. That's C minor or our 2 chord. Next, we have E flat or our 4 chord. So E flat's the root, G is the third, B flat's the 5th. And there we go. That's E flat or our 4 chord. Next, we have F, which is our 5 chord. So F is the root, A is the third, C is the 5th. Just like that, there's F or our 5 chord. And then lastly, we have G minor or our 6 chord. G is the root, B flat's the third, D is the 5th. And there we go. That's G minor or our 6 chord. Great. Now, like I said earlier, I like to keep my hands in this middle C region of the piano, and there are going to be some instances in this song where we are playing inversions. So let's talk about inversions. How do we invert chords really quick? And then I'll go through the chords one more time and show you where I'm going to be playing them for the rest of this video. So when we're talking about inversions, let's start with our B flat chord here. And an inversion simply is the same notes of the same chord, but we're playing them in a different order. So we call this root position right here. So we're going to take our B flat or 1 chord and we'll walk through all 3 positions here. So this is root position because the root or the namesake of the chord is the lowest note we're playing in the right hand. But what happens if I take this B flat and decide to play it up here? So I have B flat, D, F. It's still a B flat or a 1 chord because we still have the same notes, B flat, D, F, but now the third, or D in this case, is the lowest note in the right hand, and so this is called first inversion. So whenever we have the third of our triad as the lowest note in the right hand, that's first inversion. And then if I wanted to take this D and move it up here, I could play B flat, D, F, just like that. It's still a B flat or a 1 chord because it's the same 3 notes, but now F, or the 5th of the chord, is now the lowest note, and we call this second inversion. So we have root position, first inversion, second inversion. Same chord, still B flat, still a 1 chord because it's the same notes, but we're just playing them in a different order. So now we're going to go through these chords again really quick, but I'm going to show you which inversions I'm going to play so that I can keep my hands here in this middle C region of the piano. So we're going to start with our B flat chord right here, and we're going to play second inversion here on our B flat. So I'll have B flat, D, F, just like that. Next for C minor, we're also going to play second inversion. So I have C, E flat, and G, just like that. Then when I have E flat, we're going to play this one in first inversion. So E flat, G, B flat, just like that. So the third is our lowest note in the right hand. So this is first inversion. Then we're going to play F in root position, F or a 5 chord in root position, and then G minor or a 6 chord will also be in root position. So very good. So again, you don't have to play them there. That's where I'm choosing to play them for this video in the block chord style. If I was just playing off the chord chart and not playing the note for note keys part in this song, but it's totally up to you. You can mess around with some inversions and find where you want to play them. Inversions are really helpful though because it makes playing these chords a lot more efficient. So as an example for how playing chord inversions can be very efficient, let's look at our 2 chord or C minor you just saw me play right here in second inversion. If I want to move to our E flat or 4 chord in the right hand, all I do is move this C down to B flat here, and then I move my left hand from C to E. So that's pretty easy to move from our 2 chord to our 4 chord by using inversions. And so that's where inversions really make playing piano a lot easier, especially if you're trying to sing while playing piano. I highly suggest you would use inversions. Great, so we've covered our scale, we've covered all of the chords, so we can keep moving on. But before we do that, I do just want to say, I know we flew through this stuff really quick. We talked about a lot about the scale, we talked about chords, inversions, all sorts of stuff, and we really could only cover the bare minimum for this video because like I said earlier, we would be here a long while if we tried to explain everything about harmony for this video. But in our piano tutorial library, we have an informational video on the key of B flat, and it's a shorter video, about 25 minutes, that you can watch and understand so much more about the key of B flat than what we could cover today in this video. So in that video, you're going to learn why the key of B flat has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. You're going to learn how to build all of the chords because there's some chords in the key of B flat that we're not using in this song today. So you're going to learn how to build all of the chords in the key of B flat. You're going to learn so many more principles about major chords, minor chords, what's the difference between them, functional harmony. I definitely recommend you check that out. And one thing that's really cool about watching this video, the informational video on the key of B flat, is that you're going to learn so many principles about functional harmony that apply to the key of B flat and Spirit Move. But a lot of those principles are going to transfer to other keys and other songs. So once you watch one of those videos, you're really going to get a great understanding of how harmony and music works in general, and you'll be able to take those principles that you've learned and apply it to every song you play moving forward. So if any of what we just covered was confusing to you, go ahead, pause this video, go check out that informational video on the key of B flat, and then come on back to this, and I guarantee you the rest of this video will make a lot more sense. Great, so now let's move on to our time signature. The time signature for Spirit Move is 4/4, and our time signature tells us 2 very important things. The first number always tells us how many beats are in a measure. So for Spirit Move, we have 4 beats per measure, and the second number always tells us what kind of note is considered 1 beat. So for Spirit Move, we have a 4 here as well, so that means a quarter note is considered 1 beat. So every measure in the song will have equal to 4 quarter notes worth of time. And if you don't know what a measure is simply the way we break the song down into smaller pieces. Breaking the song down into measures provides a nice rhythmic framework that we can work within, and it helps us keep track of where we are. It helps us count through some tough sections. It really just makes playing the song a lot easier. So when we're counting through this song, and we're going to do some counting in this video today, we simply just count 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. That was 1 measure. But when we start the song, the measures start at the beginning and just smoothly go from one right into the next all the way until the end of the song. So when we're counting, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth until we get to the end of the song. There are no pauses, there are no breaks. We just keep going smoothly from one measure to the next. So if you can count to 4, that's going to make playing this song a lot easier. And then the tempo for Spirit Move is 80 beats per minute, which is kind of right in the middle of the range of tempos you would see in worship music. There are some songs that are really fast, like 118, 124. We're not quite there, but there's a lot of songs that are slower than 80. You might see songs at 68 or 72 or 62 or something like that. So we're kind of right in the middle. So this song's not too slow, but it's also not too fast. And this song has a really fun energy to it, especially in the choruses where you're playing the lead synth line. It's got a great energy. It feels faster than it really is. So be careful not to speed up. That's going to be your natural tendency. The temptation is to play faster, but just remember the song is a little more laid back, but it still has a nice driving energy. So we're kind of right in that tension between playing fast, but playing a little slower as well. Great. So let's look at the song order or the form or the outline of the song here, and then we'll get into it. So we start with verse 1, go to a turnaround, repeat verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus, a second turnaround, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, a short instrumental, 2 times through the bridge, 2 choruses, and then a final ending chord. And there we go. This is the order or the outline of the song. So if you ever get lost or confused, you can always come back and reference this. Great. We've covered the key, we've covered the scale, we've covered our chords, we've covered our time signature and tempo and the song order. We're ready to look at Spirit Move. But before we dive into this, I just want to clarify, if you've never read off of a chord chart before, let's explain how we do this really quick. So you're looking here at verse 1, and you're going to see the lyrics to verse 1, and you're going to see some letters or numbers depending on which chart you're reading. And I just want to talk about how do we read a chord chart. So you can see these letters and numbers are lined up in relationship to the lyrics, and these are our chord changes. So these don't necessarily mean that we only play each chord one time. Rhythmically, we can kind of improvise and see what fits our setting the best, whether we're playing by ourselves or if we're in a band setting, or if you want to play just like they do in the recording, that's totally awesome. But these are the chord changes. So as long as we are changing from one chord to the next at the point in time where the word corresponding with it is being sung, then you're right on. So that's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to play these first 2 lines here. I'm going to say the lyrics and show you how we would read a chord chart. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel it in my bones, you're about to move. I feel it in the wind, you're about to ride in. And just like that. So those are the first 2 lines of verse 1. So again, I played my 1 chord or B flat on the word feel as the word feel was being sung. And then I hold this for the next amount of time until we get to the next I feel it, and I feel it in the wind here. And on feel, I switch to my 6th chord or G minor. So what I just did right there was called playing the changes, where I'm only playing as the chord changes happen. But if you want to mix it up, you could rhythmically play something like this too. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel it in my bones, you're about to move. I feel it in the wind, you're about to ride in. So there, that second time, I was playing a quarter note pattern in the right hand. I was playing whole notes in my left hand. But yet you saw I still changed from our 1 chord to the 6th chord at the same time. I was just filling in more of the space. Other than just holding those chords for 2 measures each, I was kind of filling in that space with quarter notes. And so it's really up to you how you want to approach it. Just make sure you're changing as these chord changes happen here in the verse. Now, what happens in a section where we don't have any lyrics, like an instrumental? How do we know how long to play each chord? So if we look here at the turnaround, we're going to see here we have an instance of that. And at Rooted, we've come up with a little system here to help us read our chord charts in the sections where we don't have lyrics and how to play it really easily. So every one of these numbers or letters that are separated by a space indicates 1 measure. So if we're counting our measures in the turnaround, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total measures here in the turnaround, and we're going to play each one of these chords for 1 measure. So if I was playing the first 4 measures of our turnaround here, it'd sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. Again, I'm playing each one of these chords for 1 measure or 4 beats. And there we go. So that's how we go through sections of this song where we don't have lyrics, and that really helps us keep track of how long to play each chord. All right, so now that we know that, let's go back to the beginning of the song. And so the way that we're going to go through Spirit Move for the rest of this video is we're going to go section by section through the song. I'm going to play it in the block chord style with the lyrics so you can see how that plays if you just want to play it off the chord chart. If you're going to play it off the chord chart, this sounds incredible with the recording. It's not the exact note for note keys part, but this would sound great with the recording. So if you want to play it this way, that's awesome. So after we go through it in the block chord style, then we're going to pull out the sheet music, which you can also find attached to the lower right-hand corner of the web page where you're playing the song. And we're going to go through each section and the note for note part in the sheet music as well. And we'll cover anything that we need to cover here in the sheet music that corresponds to that as well. And one thing to point out about the sheet music, you're going to find those chord changes just like we had in the chord chart. These chord changes in the sheet music line up perfectly the exact same way they do in the chord chart. So what we're doing in this video is we are looking at both sides of the same coin in this video. Great, so let's go ahead and start in verse 1. So I'm going to play all the way through verse 1. I'm going to say the lyrics as I play it, and then we'll break it down. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel it in my bones, you're about to move. I feel it in the wind, you're about to ride in. You said that you would pour your spirit out. You said that you would fall on sons and daughters. So come. And there we go. So our verse is a total of 8 measures. And we start here with our 1 chord or B flat on the word feel. And we're going to play that for 2 whole measures. So especially because this first verse here is really bare. It's just pretty much vocals and just a few really kind of sporadic kind of keys and pad sounds throughout the verse here. We're going to play this pretty simply. So we're going to hold down this 1 chord or B flat on the word feel for 2 measures. So we're going to play the changes throughout verse 1. Then we come to our 6th chord or G minor on the next feel, and we're going to hold that for 2 measures. Then we come down here to said. We go back to our B flat or our 1 chord, play it for 2 measures. And then on the next said, we play our 4 chord or E flat for, you guessed it, 2 measures, and that's the end of verse 1. One thing to point out here is that on the word so come at the end, this 1 chord here that we're playing, or B flat chord, is the first measure of the turnaround. So this and this right here are the exact same thing. So it's just easier for us to reference in both spots to just draw that comparison and make sure you understand that this beat 1 of our turnaround does come here on the word come when we play that 1 chord or B flat. So this is the same here. Great, so now let's flip over to the sheet music and look through it here, and it's the same thing. We got 2 measures of B flat, 2 measures of G minor, 2 measures of B flat, and 2 measures of E flat, but these are going to be the exact notes that the keys part is playing at the beginning, and it's a very soft, just kind of ambient pad. There's not a whole lot going on here. It sounds pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this part here for you really quick, and then we'll break it down. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our turnaround would start down here. Great. So we have 8 total measures here in verse 1, and you heard me play that with the piano. Like I said, this is going to play whether you're playing on a piano or you decide to play this with some pads or some synth sounds. These are all going to play the same way. So it's cool. You can play it either way. But let's go ahead now and look at this verse 1 here. Again, I'm going to switch over to the pad sounds so you can just get a feel for what that would sound like if you wanted to do that. All right, so here's that verse 1 again, and I'm just going to play it with the pad sound so you can kind of get a feel for what this would sound like if you wanted to put a pad or a soft synth patch on your sound here. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. I do want to point out really quick here that on this E flat here, I am playing this with the right hand, and I'm adding this E flat, kind of crossing my left hand over my right hand, just like that. So I'm really playing second finger on my left hand on that E flat. Great, and there you go. So that's really the kind of sound that you're going to hear in that keys part through most of the song, especially at the beginning when you're listening to the recording. It's a really airy, really ambient kind of a pad sound there. So if you're playing with a MIDI keyboard and want to mess around with some sounds, that's the kind of sound you want to look for if you want to play it a little truer to the keys part in the recording. But this played the exact same way as the piano part. Great, so let's move on to the turnaround. All right, so here we are at the turnaround, and so what we're going to do is I'm just going to play through it, and we'll break it down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. This turnaround is pretty simple. We got 8 total measures. We got 2 measures of our 1 chord or B flat, then 2 measures of our G minor or 6 chord. Then we go back to 2 measures of our 1 chord or B flat, and then we finish with 2 measures of our 4 chord or E flat here. So 8 total measures. And when we're playing in the block chord style, just go ahead and play each measure. Again, the band's come in now. We got drums in. There's a lot more going on, so you can definitely help contribute to the rhythmic drive of this song with the piano part by playing every measure. So here in the sheet music for the turnaround, we still have our 2 measures of B flat, 2 measures of G minor, 2 measures of B flat, 2 measures of E flat. We have some bare chords, so we're playing some fifths and some fourths up here in the right hand with those root notes in the left hand. Nothing too crazy here. And for the sake of time, I'm going to skip over this part because it's pretty simple. And also, because I've showed you the ambient pad sound at the beginning, I'm not going to switch back and forth between those two. You kind of got a feel for what that's like. If you want to see me play the whole song in that style, you can check out the playthrough at the end of this video. But to save some time, we're going to skip some of that. So let's go back to the sheet music and look at the next section. And so here we are. We have an exact repeat of verse 1 after that turnaround. It's the same lyrics, the same chords, the same rhythms. Everything is the same, except when we come to the end, we don't have that so come that we do at the end of the first time through. So we're going to finish our 8 measures of B flat, G minor, B flat, and E flat, and then we're going to go straight into the pre-chorus. So everything plays the exact same way, just we don't have that so come there at the end. But let's go ahead now and look through verse 1 in the sheet music, and this is going to play very similarly to what we had in the turnaround. So nothing too crazy here. Again, just playing those root notes in the left hand, and then we're playing those fourths and fifths in our right hand. Great. And so now that we've covered the repeat of verse 1, let's go to the pre-chorus. And so here in the pre-chorus, we do have something a little different here. So we're going to walk through this and explain it. So I'm going to play it in the block chord style, and then we'll break it down. So here it is. 1, 2, 3. So like the rain, come drench us in love, and let your glory rush in like a flood. And there we go. So one thing I do want to point out here in the pre-chorus is that we have pickup notes. And so what a pickup note is simply we are borrowing some beats from the previous section because the lyrics and the measures are overlapping a little bit. So when you heard me count in, you heard me say 1, 2, 3, so like the rain. So our first full measure starts on our 6th chord or G minor here on the word rain, but these words, so like the, come in on beat 4 of the previous measure. So these lyrics actually line up over the last beat of our measure up here, and that's why we call them pickup notes, because they're leading us into the next section. So just be aware of that. We're going to see that throughout other sections in this video as well, so I just wanted to point that out, that I wasn't counting weird or anything like that, but I did want to explain why I counted 1, 2, 3, so let the, instead of saying beat 4 there. So our pre-chorus has a total of 4 measures. And like I said, our first full measure of the pre-chorus starts here on our 6th chord or G minor on the word rain. We're going to play that for a measure. Then we come to our 1 chord or B flat on the word love for a measure. Then we go to the 4 chord or E flat on the word glory for a measure. And we finish with our 5 chord or F on the word flood for a measure. So 4 total measures, 6 chord or G minor to our 1 chord, which is B flat, 4 chord E flat, 5 chord F. Great, let's look to the sheet music. And in the sheet music, you're going to see we've got something a little different here. So I am going to go ahead and play through this really quick. We're just playing these chords. We do have a few extra notes. And I do want to point out that especially in the sheet music part, we are going to play some notes that aren't a part of our basic triads that we covered in the beginning. And just I want to just clarify that in a lot of worship songs, these chords are the foundation of the harmony of each section or each measure of the song. But there are times we add a few extra notes as well. Like you're going to see here, we have a C here in our B flat. So we're really playing like a B flat 9 chord here. But just for the sake of the general harmony, these chord changes work amazing. But from time to time, we do add a few extra notes. Like we have a B flat here in our F chord, which is not one of the notes in the F triad. So I'm going to play through this, show you how we play it, and then we'll break it down. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. That was the pre-chorus. Great. So we had that one measure of G minor, a measure of B flat, a measure of E flat, and a measure of F. Great. Let's move on to the chorus. So here we are to the chorus. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this in the block chord style, and then we'll break it down. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are fixed on this one thing, to know your goodness, see your glory. We're transformed by this one thing, to know your presence, see your beauty. And there we go. That was the chorus. So our chorus has a total of 8 measures, and each one of these lines is going to contain 2 measures. So we start with our 4 chord or E flat on the word we. We're going to play that for a measure. Then this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and counting is going to be huge. So these 2 chords here, our 5 or F on the word this, and our 6 or G minor on the word thing, this is a whole measure here. So we have 4 total beats, but these don't get 2 beats each. We're going to play our 5 chord or F on the word this for 1.5 beats, and then on the and of 2, we're going to play our 6 chord or G minor on the word thing. And so when we're counting through our measures, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's if we're counting on a quarter note level, but because we switch on the and of 2, that means we have to count this on an 8th note level. And when we count on an 8th note level, we're simply breaking the measure down from 4 larger pieces to 8 smaller pieces. We say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. My counting hasn't sped up. The tempo is still the same, but I'm just breaking the measure down into 8 smaller pieces instead of 4 larger pieces. So I'm going to count through just this first line here and show you how we do it. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. So this gets 1.5 beats. This gets 2.5 beats. And this is a rhythm we're going to see throughout the second measure of each line throughout the chorus. So this first measure, I don't have to count on the 8th note level because I'm just playing a whole note here. So it's pretty simple. But then when I get to this measure, because I'm switching on the and of 2, or the and that follows beat 2, I want to make sure that I'm counting on the 8th note level to help me figure this out. So again, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that. And so on the next line, we go back to our 4 chord or E flat on the word no for a measure. Then we go to our 5 chord or F on C for 1.5 beats. And then we go to our 2 chord on the word glory for the other 2.5 beats of that measure. So it's the same rhythms, but instead of switching to our 6 chord or G minor, we switch to our 2 chord or C minor. And then these same rhythms repeat in the last 2 lines, different lyrics, but same rhythms. So we have our 4 chord on the word where for a measure. Then we go to our 5 chord or F on this for 1.5 beats, then 6 or a G minor on thing for the other 2.5 beats of this measure. Then we finish with our 4 chord or E flat on no for a measure, followed by our 5 chord or F on C for 1.5 beats, and then our 2 chord or C minor on the word beauty for the other 2.5 beats. So 8 total measures here. Just remember, these are not 2 beats each. It's 1.5, 2.5 for all 4 lines. All right, so here we are in the sheet music, and now we're about to play what I consider to be the most fun part of the whole song. We have a really fun lead line. It sounds awesome playing it on the synth, but it also sounds great just playing it on the piano as well. We have a lot of 8th notes. Some are tied together. Our left hand's following the rhythmic pattern we just discussed in the chord chart. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through these first 4 measures here a little slower so you can see how it's played slowly, and then we'll put it all together. These last 4 measures are an exact repeat of what we play up here. So here it is, the first 4 measures of our chorus. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 just like that. So our left hand's pretty simple. We're just playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like we did in the block chord style. And our right hand's playing this lead line here, so we rest on the first half of beat 1, and then we go to an F on the and of beat 1, followed by a D and B flat. So we play 1 and 2 and then this is a tied note here, and when we see tied notes, we add the note value together, but we only play the first one. So we're going to hold this for the length of a quarter note or 2 eighth notes, but we don't play the second one. So this note's going to be a little longer, and then we repeat that F, D, B flat again. And then in the second measure, we start the same way. We have an eighth rest here, and then we go from F up an octave to the F. So 1 and 2 and. Same thing, we're going to hold this down on the and of 2 and the first half of beat 3. And then we finish with and 4 and there we go. And then this same 2 measure figure repeats here as well. So when we play it all together, these 2 measures sound like this. Just like that. And so this is a really fun part to play. It sounds great on the piano like you just heard. I'm going to show you really quick what it sounds like with a really great, really strong lead synth part. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what it sounded like if you had a synth part playing that lead line. It sounds really great either way on a piano or with a strong lead synth that's going to really cut through a full band. If you had electric guitars and drums and everything going in like on a worship team setting, a lead synth like that's a little harsh, believe it or not. A little harshness makes a great synth line because when you're playing in a full band, that harshness kind of helps cut through the sound, but yet it's not overpowering. But if you're playing a big lead synth by yourself, it may sound a little harsh. But there we go. That was the lead part here in the chorus. So like I mentioned earlier, these next 4 measures are all the same as they were previously. So we can move on to the next section of the song, which is the turnarounds. All right, so here we are. We just finished the chorus. We're in this turnaround here. And this turnaround is very similar to what we played in the first turnaround, except we only have 4 measures instead of 8. So we go 2 measures of our 1 chord or B flat, followed by 2 measures of our 6 chord or G minor. But for the sake of time, we're not going to play it because it's similar to what we've already played. And the turnaround here in the sheet music is also very similar to what we played earlier in the song. So now let's move on to verse 2. And verse 2 is going to play the exact same way as the second time we played through verse 1. The only thing that changes are the lyrics, but it's the same chords, it's the same rhythms, everything is the same. So for the sake of time, we're going to skip that and move on to the next section. We'll look at this really quick in the sheet music. Again, this plays very similarly to how we played through verse 1 earlier. Great, so let's go to the pre-chorus. So here we are in the pre-chorus right after verse 2, and it's the exact same as the previous pre-chorus we played, except one word has changed. Instead of glory, she sings let your power rush in like a flood, but it's the same chords, the same rhythms, everything is the same. So for the sake of time, we're going to skip over this as well. Let's look at the sheet music and see if anything's different here, and it is not. So we're going to move on to the next chorus. And one thing that's really nice about this song in general is once you've kind of learned how to play like the verse, the pre-chorus parts, it's a pretty repetitive song. So once you get a couple sections down, you're going to know most of the song. So we come here to the next chorus, and you guessed it, this is also the exact same as the chorus we played previously. Same chords, same rhythms. We still have our 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for each line, just like we did previously on these last measures of each line. And so for the sake of time, we're going to skip over that as well. So let's come to the sheet music and see if we have the same thing. And sure enough, we do. So it's the same lead line, the same left-hand part here in the chorus. So everything is good there. So like I said, we're flying through the song now because we've learned those first few parts, and we have a lot of repeating parts. So now we're going to go to the instrumental, and this is where things change up a little bit. So let's camp out here in the instrumental after that second time through the chorus, and we'll work through it. So here, this instrumental is just 4 measures, and we have 4 chords here. So I'm going to play through it really quick. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. 4 measures. Each one of these chords gets 1 measure. So we start with our 4 chord or E flat for a measure. Then we go to our 5 chord or F for a measure. Then we go to our 6 chord or G minor for a measure. And we finish with our 1 chord or B flat for 1 measure. And this is a chord progression we're going to see continue throughout the bridge, but now we're just adding lyrics to it. Let's talk about this instrumental part here in the sheet music. It's pretty simple as well. We are playing the root note here in the left hand, and we have an octave of a single note here in the right hand. So I'll play through this really quick so you can see it. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. The band has really dropped back quite a bit. It's really just kind of a bass kick feel going and a light pad, or kind of that airy ambient pad playing in the background here. So this keys part really reflects that by having a lot of spaced out notes. We're not overcrowding the keys part with notes. It's actually pretty cool considering how bare it is. Great, so let's go to the bridge. So here we are in the bridge, and you're going to see it's the same chord progression, 4, 5, 6, 1, but now we have lyrics. So I'm going to go through this one time and say the lyrics. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, so come and blow on through, Spirit move, we're ready for you to come and blow on through, come and do what only you can do. And there we go. So our bridge has a total of 8 measures. So we have our 4 chord or E flat on the word blow for a measure. We have our 5 chord or F on the word through for a measure. We have our 6 chord or G minor on the word move for a measure. Then we have our 1 chord or B flat on the word ready for a measure. And then we continue on here. It's similar lyrics. The last line's a little different here. So in the last 4 measures of the bridge, we have our 4 chord or E flat on the word blow for a measure, 5 chord or F on the word through for a measure, 6 chord or G minor on the word do for a measure, and then 1 chord or B flat on the word only for the last measure. Now let's look in the sheet music and see that we're really playing the same thing here in the first 4 measures of the bridge that we did in the instrumental. And in the next 4 measures, it's going to be the exact same. So the note for note keys part in the bridge, the first time through the bridge, does not change from the instrumental. So we're going to play this chord progression in the instrumental, and then we just play it 2 more times through the first time through the bridge. Great. Let's move on to the repeat of the bridge. And so here, in the repeat of the bridge, everything is going to be the same, except we have one major difference here in the bridge. And so to save some time, we're not going to play it, but just be aware here on this third line, instead of going to our 5 chord that we're used to, we switch to a 2 chord. So she sings, so come and blow on through, come and do what only you can do. So just be aware, we have this 2 chord here, and this really drives the bridge as they're building now. The band is building, it's getting, it's leading us into this huge final chorus here. So this is a very important chord change, so don't let this one catch you by surprise here on that 2 chord. So let's look at the second time through the bridge in the sheet music, and we're going to find we're doing something a little different here. We're just playing whole notes though. Our left hand's still covering the root notes for each one of these chords, and our right hand is now adding a few more notes. We play some really fun chords here at the end. So I'm going to play through this just really quick so you can hear it, because some of these chords do sound a little different, but they sound really great in context to the rest of the song. So we'll play the second time through the bridge. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Very, very good. All right, let's move on to the next section, which is the chorus. And this chorus here is going to play the exact same way that the previous choruses had played. So we don't need to go through it in the block chord style because we've already played it. And so let's move on to the sheet music here. And this chorus in the sheet music is also going to play the exact same way we learned the previous choruses in the sheet music with that big synth lead line, or you could play it on the piano as well, this big lead line here that's very prevalent throughout the chorus. Great. So we'll move on to the next section, and we have another chorus that plays the exact same way in the block chord style from the chord chart, so we'll skip that. And then we also have the exact same repeat here in the sheet music. So we have a double chorus of parts that we already know, which is really awesome to finish the song out. So let's go to the ending here, the final chord that we're going to play in Spirit Move. And when we get to the end of this chorus, as soon as we finish the last beat of our eighth measure here, we're simply just going to play a 4 chord and hold it. So you can let that kind of ring out for a while if you're playing along with the recording as the sound starts to die out, or if you're playing in a live setting, you can just play it for however long you've predetermined to play that chord. Very good. And then in the sheet music, this final chord here, we're simply playing an E flat with an F and a B flat in our right hand. So it sounds like this. Kind of a unique take on an E flat chord, but it sounds really great. There's a bunch of ambient parts mixing in here at the end along with this chord, and then it'll eventually fade out. And there we go. And you can hold this as long as you want, just like if you were playing in the block chord style. And there we go. We've made it to the end of the song. So now you know everything you need to know in order to play Spirit Move based off of the block chord style from a chord chart, which sounds amazing with the recording. And if you're playing in a live setting with a band, it sounds amazing just to play the block chords like we covered at the beginning of the video. But you also know how to play the note for note keys part as if you were reading it off of the sheet music. So great. So we really are providing two sides to the same coin. You can play it either based off the sheet music or play it based off of the chord chart. It's up to you, but you have all the tools to be able to play either. And some people might even want to mix and match where you're playing the block chords in the verses, but you want to add this lead line here in the chorus. That's totally fine. You can kind of improvise and do a hybrid version where you're mixing both. But we are so excited that you guys are taking the time to learn this song. This is a really fun song to play on keys, whether you're playing on the piano or playing with some pads and some synths. This is a really fun song to play. So I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So if you look below this video, you're going to see a comment box where you can ask questions. Please ask a question if you have any questions at all. There's no such thing as a silly question. If you don't know, you don't know the answer. That's why we're here. We want to help you out. So please ask us if there's anything that we can do to help you. And then also, if you're just playing this song and everything's clicking, everything made sense, and you're doing really well, let us know. We'd love to hear that positive feedback as well. So now I'm about to play through the note for note keys part 2 times with the recording. The first time will be with me playing as if I was playing on a piano. So it's going to be a piano sound playing this same part. And then the second time, I'm going to play it with synths so you can just hear what it sounds like with the recording with either way, if you choose to play it on piano or play with some pads or some synths. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you guys have a great day.
I feel